To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are having a change to the printed agenda, and that I will give the welcoming remarks prior to anything else in the meeting. I do want to welcome everyone to the June voting meeting of the Exeter Township School District Board of Directors. Everything that you hear tonight will have been gone over last week in our workshop meeting. So if we seem to rush through things, it's not that we're rushing when we had all of our controversy last week. At the moment, I would like to invite anyone who would like to address the board to do so at this time. Seeing no one leaping forward, Mr. Legath, our athletic director, to give his report.
Thank you. Good evening. I know all of you received the documents this past Friday on the year of athletic events. There's two major things that I'd just like to bring to your attention that changed this year. One, I started a leadership captain meeting every other Friday in our school throughout the school year. It's kind of when the teachers had half days with the PLCs at 1 o'clock and had over 50 kids, captains and leaders stay, and had really great discussions anywhere from kind of what was going on in the world at that time with athletics, but covered a number of topics such as hazing, sportsmanship, social media, other things. That was wonderful. And the other big point that has changed from last year is that, and I know a number of you heard this at graduation, we won a record 6 Berks County championships, the most of any school in Berks County this past year. So.
There was a valedictorian that engaged in.
Yes, I know. I was
list of
wondering
sports.
what
Yes.
Tom did to motivate
He had
them.
all the sporting events.
Yeah, he wrote it.
Amazing.
Was he part of the blue crew? Was he a blue crew member?
Yes, he was.
He said, his student said he'd been putting it off, now probably leaped into the breach.
Here, let me write it for you.
Any
So you're not-
questions for Mr. Legath?
So you're not lowering the bar for next year relative to performance, then, right?
Nope, absolutely not. 7.
So, Tom, just a question. What happens now with Michael Minnitt in terms of, what would happen if he got injured this year? Would Penn State honor that scholarship?
They would, yes. Yeah, I know, and I talked to some people about this. He would go to Penn State, have a medical redshirt year if it was necessary his freshman year. You could have it, but yes, they would honor it.
Even on the verbal?
Yes.
Now, he could still be leveraged away from Penn State, right? I mean, until they get that name on a piece of paper,
Yes.
he's game, he's fair
Yes.
game.
February 4th next year, yes, is when it's official. But at any point, whenever the opening comes for college coaches, they can come in and, meet with them and try to sway in another direction.
So, and it's a serious question, but if he doesn't want to be bothered and you're the athletic director, you have to put up a defense for him, or how does that work?
I
If he's-
would. It's actually a great question because something that I have to talk to his family and him about, because I think it's going to come to that once the school year starts. Is there's going to be coaches such as University of Alabama said that are coming in December.
Okay. Making me disruptive.
I saw the statistics on gender participation, and I thought that was very commendable, the level of equity between the boys and girls.
Yes, it was very comparable to last year as well. Literally within like a couple % of, but yes, there is. I feel especially in the last 2 years since I started doing this, we've had a really good participation number in both male and female.
I have a question. I was in the Giant today, and this cashier was telling me that he was playing ice hockey for Exeter as a club sport or something else. Do we have a lot of those relationships, or how does that exactly work? Or where does it, I don't see any ice hockey here.
Correct. How it works is ice hockey is not a PIAA sport. So it's considered a club such as rugby, which is also not a PIAA sport. So we just had water polo approved. Water polo is a PIAA sport. So for our kids to participate, if they're a club, they cannot participate against another PIAA sanctioned school. If that makes sense. So rugby and ice hockey are not PIAA sports, so they're considered club. So they just use the Exeter name, even though we have really no affiliation over them. They don't need physicals done. Their coach is not supervised by us. They just use the name Exeter.
Are those the only two sports that fall into that category?
I believe so, yes.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tom, would their clearances be checked or?
I mean, no, we're not even considered volunteers with us. They have nothing to do with our school. I mean, there's kids on our rugby team who I'm told are from Holy and Hamburg, which in a PIAA sport can't happen. You know, they all have to be within Exeter.
Is there an umbrella organization that?
Well, whoever is running the club, and I don't know who runs those clubs.
Yeah, it's
They're
all.
self-run by the parents.
It's all, yes, it's all outside, so.
They should be requiring the coaches to get the necessary clearances, but it's not our responsibility to monitor that. We have enough trouble keeping track of ours.
No, but I think it might be our response. I would prefer if we at least communicate that in writing so that we have a record that, if anything would come back, that we have a record that we at least gave them the proper guidance.
I can easily do that. I
Yeah.
can reach out to both organizations.
Do we have any board action on that?
No, like literally, like, and it's just like anything, it's just,
Club?
anyone can go and start and say Exeter, whatever.
You reported on it,
But we have no,
It's not run by the township or anything.
No,
It's really
it's
its
nothing.
independent
It's
club.
like-
Yeah, it's just a club, it's like a pickup team.
yeah.
Yeah.
It just happens to be located in Exeter.
But I will reach out to them.
And it's not just Exeter athletes, they accept others, don't they?
Oh, yeah, in rugby and,
Yeah.
ice hockey.
Tom, how are we doing with field usage and fees and all that sort of stuff?
Great. Yeah, we had a, very good. Like this summer, we have Ready United, and it's going really well, and hosted again a lot of county, district, and state competitions. Had a couple other rentals in terms of youth. We have the Ready Buccaneers coming in August. So I'm continually trying. People are reaching out to want to use our facility, get them to rent.
First one, regarding the track, now that we have the improvements being made, everything will be where we need to have us up to standards, protect the students. I mean, I was surprised by the fact we had one broken arm this past year. Then we had two in the same areas. That was just pretty disappointing, not only you, but just, it was sad on the back walls. What proactive measures are we going to take to make sure we can protect the track as best as we can from heavy traffic, like football spikes, ambulances, things like that?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to roll a black mat out across. We're going to have all the teams enter down below at the double swing gate by the tennis courts to come in and out. Typically, they entered up top and walk down the steps and just walked across. Put a black mat out. We have ambulance coverage at all of our football games, varsity down through junior high. never typically have ambulance coverage at any other sporting event. And that goes across to up to the state level. That's basically just football
Can they
coverage.
park outside the gate? It sounds like they used to
Yep.
drive over the track.
Yep, I can park them outside the gate. We have to make sure, especially with football, with all the people, emergency, that we can get them through. But that's easy.
It's
I've
just,
done.
yeah, that caught us off when we went to the facilities committee meeting. We found that, maybe I hadn't paid attention when it was the games because it was absorbed, but, they were parking there, and it was one of those things, well, that's maybe that's a means of trying to get that a little bit. As far as the collection for
Well,
fees,
where would you park them? Because the police also come back down and park in that area just so they can get in and out quickly. So
Correct.
I'd be concerned about how quickly, depending upon the type of an injury an athlete has, they could get in there to assist them.
I would park them at the top where you come down by the maintenance garage on your right. There's a parking space there next to the tennis courts. I would just have them facing right into the stadium double swing gate. So they'll technically take up 2 spots, just so they're outside, but they can get right in if need.
But you can't, then the police can't come down and park by that double gate coming into,
Yes, and I'll have
Outside
to also
entrance.
have them park in another location as well.
the police didn't used to park there though, just like the ambulance didn't used to park inside. That's one recent phenomenon. That was something that, didn't happen 5 or 6 years ago. They used,
Well, I
the police
know for
used to
the-
be up there closer to where the main drive was.
well, I know a couple of times because I worked the French fry stand, but, I think it was for the Reading game, I know there were 5 units that were parked back in that area, so. I'm just saying, but I'd be concerned about an ambulance being able to get in there.
As far as the fees were collected this year, do you feel we were up or down from the previous year?
Actually, within a couple percent, I'd probably a couple percent lower, just because of different, reduced, free, but yes, right along the same number.
As far as the Michael Bennett situation, are there other students that are being looked at now because he's being viewed so prominently?
Yes. Yeah, there's one of our, not a really football guy, defensive end, who was at Maryland this weekend, going to, I believe, New Hampshire next weekend. Tight end is now being looked at by Penn State. Temple's also looking at.
How come everybody is so much better this year?
It's in the water.
I think it's superintendent.
Good answer, Thomas.
It helps if you're 6'5".
No, I understand that, but seriously, I understand that there are years where, the students, we have great students, and then there are years when we have students that are a little better. But this seems different. This just seems like they want to lean forward, and you appear to be expecting the same thing next year, so this is now class by class. So, but you don't know what's going on?
I actually think the board athletic committee has taken it to another. I want to congratulate them.
Personally, I think it's a rising tide lifts all ships, and when you have all those coaches coming in to see Bennett, watching his video, you can't help but look at a kid like Gabe Chappelle or Weber. These guys are good athletes, but the coaches are coming in and looking at this guy in particular, but somebody makes an incredible play and all of a sudden catches, his eye usually in football anyway. So I think that's what's happening here, and you have some talented athletes across the board in a lot of sports right now.
That's what I mean. Suddenly we have across the board a bunch of talented athletes. It just,
Yeah, I agree, Carol. When I first started, it's, we were okay in some sports and others we didn't do so well, but we weren't like standout. And I feel like that's changed over the years.
I have a question, I'm not sure it's for Ann or Tom. I haven't seen an athletic fund budget for this year. Don't we usually pass that at the same time we pass our general fund?
A couple of years ago, PD determined that it would be rolled into the general fund, so
Oh.
the ticket sales, et cetera. I mean, we
Yeah.
still operate, we keep a separate accounting of it, but it's part of the general fund.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Any other questions for Tom? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have 3 sets of minutes to consider. Does anyone have any corrections to those minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve the 3 sets of minutes. All in favor, please, our discussion. All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Treasurer's report.
I move that we approve this report that says Exeter Township School District financial statements for the period ending 5/31/2015.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The report is approved. We have 3 policy revisions and their second reading. We can consider them for passage tonight or continue on.
I had brought up 2 issues last week on the
Yeah.
misconduct policies.
Dave, in terms of the misconduct policies, the question about why it didn't apply to other employees that were not certificated is that the other all employees are really covered under the policy of the child abuse policy, but this policy is specifically to address a law about the reporting to PDE for those who are certificated.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's only limited to certificated individuals, principals, and teachers, and so forth. So the umbrella policy is really the child abuse policy, which, what's the other one that we have, the student relations?
Adult student relations.
Yeah. So this is specifically about the reporting mechanism that is now in law.
So that the state can
Yeah.
take certification actions.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other item regarding retaliation, we did incorporate that into, was it the last paragraph?
No, it's on the second page, I guess it'll be the
Okay.
4th paragraph, I added the sentence. No reprisals or retaliation shall occur as a result of an employee's good faith. I took the language from the unlawful harassment
Yeah.
policy
Okay.
and put it in here.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Do we want to consider accepting these policies, or declaring these policies? If so, I'll entertain a motion.
I'm going to be accept the policy.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor of
Can I just ask a question? On the suicide policy, was there anything in there related to social media or, well, there is bullying in there, but I don't think we necessarily spell out anything in social media. There were some fairly high profile situations about children who have committed suicide because they've been bullied online. And,
It's true.
you know, I'm not saying it has to be part of the policy, because I know that the district has a social media policy. It's just that I would like to just point that out, that is a source of concern for some people who, you know, kids who may deal with this as part of that being loneliness. I mean, oftentimes you don't find out what happens until after the police have investigated the suicide and have found records and all that sort of stuff.
The
And again, it's-
closest it comes, my interpersonal character, loneliness, just social alienation, isolation, lack of belonging, which are, you know, sort of related to what happens to them in social media.
And the state is also mandating, as they did for child abuse, suicide awareness training
Yes.
among all employees. And I don't know the answer yet, but I wonder whether that training will incorporate social media and, how the impact of social media reaching so many people and the devastating effects that could have on an individual, knowing that thousands of people are seeing, what's being said or written about them.
The same vehicle that we use for that child abuse training,
Yeah.
the Safe Schools videos, they're in the process of having their material approved by the state, for the
Yeah,
Act
right.
48, and that it meets the
Right.
conditions of the law.
Right, I just don't know what the content of the training
No.
is at this point.
No.
So,
Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the policies as printed, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Tamara, business functions.
Under 7A, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves budget transfers for the month of May 2015 in the amount of $1,697,344.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor of approving the transfers, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7B, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors awards the art supply bid to the lowest responsible bidders. Award is made by individual item.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion.
And what does the term responsible bidder mean over communities?
That they actually have fulfilled all of the required specifications. We detailed what we want in terms of the bid, and they fulfilled every requirement.
Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the art supply bids, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7C, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors awards the athletic supply and equipment bid to the lowest responsible bidders. Award is made by individual item.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. All in favor of approving the athletic supply and equipment bids, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7D, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves a property tax refund to Carl Snyder, 205 Bordick Road, Reading, in the amount of $195.30 for 2014 real estate taxes paid. The refund represents the homestead, farmstead property tax reduction that the property was eligible to receive, but due to an error made by the County Assessment Office, the 2014 tax bill did not reflect the reduction. Under number 2 of 7D, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the property tax refund in the amount of $4,935.09 to the property owners, Charles E. and Barbara V. Hensley, due to the transfer of 5 acres, house and buildings for veterans exemption to property ID number 43-53-04-51-9665-X01, granted per the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, granted on 7/1/2014.
Second.
Motion and second.
Oh, the one more, so hold on.
And under 3, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approve the property tax refund in the amount of $2,698.76 to the property owner, David Sacknett, due to the exemption granted for the Department of Military and Veteran Affairs, granted 7/1/2014.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Discussion.
Do we get refunded from the federal government for what we take off? Oh, so they, no, they didn't.
They're just exempt from the property management tax.
Yeah, well, when did they start this?
It's been going on since about World War II. If a serviceman is disabled, 100% disabled, by his military service, he is exempt from paying property tax if his income level falls below a certain defined amount.
I would just hope the federal government would pay me back their
It's you saying thanks to the man that can't run it.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I think the federal government should reimburse us too.
They're broke too.
There was something.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the exemptions, please indicate so. Refunds, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7E, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the following insurance coverages for the period July 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2016. Insurance package that includes property and liability through PSBA at a cost of $91,099. Business auto coverage through PSBA at a cost of $35,154. Umbrella coverage through PSBA at a cost of $15,017. School leader errors and admissions coverage through PSBA at a cost of $22,770. And finally, workers' compensation coverage through Highmark at a cost of $202,399. In total, the cost for the lines of insurance coverage listed above is $366,439, or $28,529 less than the current year.
Have a second.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion on the insurance?
Under the workers' comp that are, I guess the accidents went down significantly this year that led to that big of a decrease?
Well, the 3-year.
3-year
The
window?
3-year mod went down. It's based
Yeah.
retroactively, I guess, 3 years.
Good.
Further questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7F, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves food service lunch price rate increases for the 2015-16 school year per the attached file.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion?
Were the numbers adjusted for our conversation last week for the adults?
Yes, they were. Rather than 5 cents, up to 10 cents, so that the percentage increase across the board was fair.
Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the price increase on food services, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7G, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the proposed final budget for the food service department for the 2015-16 school year with revenue of $1,724,975, expenditures of $1,831,310, and a net loss of $106,335. Budget includes payment of $81,000 to general fund for utilities, insurance, and other district-provided services. There is no change since the proposed budget was adopted on May 18th, 2015.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion?
Yes. In a sense, the budget doesn't reflect the increase in the adult sales, so
I didn't change it to, and it would be minimal,
yeah.
because adult sales are only about $20,000, so
Mhm.
you know, as we do our estimate, obviously we would reflect that.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the food services budget, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
We have 2 in opposition. Vote is 7-2 in favor of passage.
Under 7H, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the proposed final budget for the capital project funds excluding the Awadden Creek Project Fund, for the 2015-2016 school year with revenue of $9,000, expenditures of $116,166, and fund balance as of 6/30/16 of $6,874,765. There is no change since the proposed budget was adopted on May 18th, 2015. You can see the attached file.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor of approving the final capital projects fund budget, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
2 in opposition. The budget carries 7-2.
Under 7I, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves a transfer in the amount of $800,000 from the general fund to the capital reserve fund for fiscal year 2014 through 2015. The amount of the transfer represents surplus money in the general fund at the end of the fiscal year.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion.
I have a question because when we did the budget transfers, we transferred $800,000 to the capital projects. Are we duplicating that?
Well, I wanted to have it out there in case anyone wanted to specifically, address it. I know it was on the budget transfers.
I don't think we should be
historically,
transferring
we've
the money
always,
twice.
pardon?
I don't think we should be transferring the money twice.
Well, we're not. And I guess I went back and looked, the last time we did this, we put it on as a separate agenda item.
Mhm.
The budget transfer itself moves it from function object to the correct function object, so that when you're comparing revised budget to actual at the end of the year, there is that amount in the revised budget and the actual. This is actually saying, okay, physically moving, the money.
And so we're moving the money but not designating it for anything at this point, correct?
That's correct. It was surplus from the refinancing that we did.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the transfer, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Can I
Show of
please-
hands, please. 7-2. In favor of the transfer, the motion carries.
Under 7J, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the following commitment balances of the general fund for fiscal year 2015 through 2016 as follows. The public school employers contribution rate stabilization, $1,078, $1,078,709. Impact on real estate tax revenue due to property assessment reduction, $160,000. And capital improvements, $1,665,751 for a total of $2,904,460.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion.
Have these numbers changed since our original look at the budget?
No.
And the employer's contribution rate, is that for pieces? That 1 million?
It's for the Peasers.
Right. Now, is that our share, or are we gonna get half of that back from the state?
Well, this is really just a commitment of fund balance, which was established a few years ago. And we've, been reducing to try and ease into the higher contribution rates. Over the next 5 years, our expense will increase by about 2.3 million net expense in total. So this is a way of, easing into it, using fund balance resources to fit it into the budget.
Any further discussion? favor of the commitment, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 8-1.
Under 7K, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the final general fund balance for the 2015-2016 school year in the amount of $69,761,759 per the attached resolution.
Second.
A motion and a second, discussion. Very well, all in favor of the budget as submitted, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7L, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the per capita tax for the 2015-16 school year per the attached resolution.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the per capita tax, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7M, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors establishes the real estate millage for the school year 2015-2016 at a rate of 31.25 mils per the attached resolution. There is no increase in real estate millage from the current school year.
Second.
A motion and a second, discussion.
Just want to,
No, go ahead.
just want to say thank you to the administration and the team to be able to, with a lot of our expenses increasing, including teasers, that we were able to have this 1-year moratorium, and hopefully the state will figure out a way to make it fair and take this off the backs of homeowners.
Yeah, I'm going to be voting against this. And the reason I'm going to vote against this is because I do not think that under Act 1 and the conditions that we are put under Act 1, that it is responsible not to take at least the minimum, or at least to the index. I think that's what school districts everywhere in Pennsylvania should have been doing, and I think what you're going to do is see people that are going to continue to take money from their fund balance until there is no fund balance left, and then this will be a greater fiscal crisis than it's ever been before.
Any further comments?
And could you tell us how much do we have in our fund balance and what percent do we have? I thought you said that last
Yeah,
week
I'm just
it was
looking at
very,
the
it was very close to the maximum what we need to have.
Right, the budget that's being adopted shows an unassigned fund balance of 7.8% of the general fund expenditures. But that is the unassigned fund balance, but they're, through this budget, we'll be using 1.5 in reserves, fund balance reserves, but there will remain the commitments that were approved of 2.9 million, and there are assignments of 6.6 million, which are for the following year's budget deficit, in addition to some other assignments that have been made. But the unassigned is 7.8%.
Also note too that the last three budgets, we have planned on using additional reserves that we have not. So I think we need to keep that in mind. We have voted to use those. I just think it's important too with where our millage is, and I know I looked at Governor Mifflin, they have almost the exact same budget, the exact same number of students, and they're at 24 million. It's apples and oranges, so it's very, very difficult. But considering some of the things that are being proposed, the fact that we have planned on using additional reserves in the past that we have not, I think this is the time to do it. Okay.
I am also going to be voting against this, but for reasons different than Russ's. My first is that I think that returning some money through a tax reduction to the taxpayer base would have a bigger multiplier effect on the economy. That money in the hands of taxpayers and possibly be spent in Exeter Township is going to do a lot more economic good than sitting in a fund balance, and in this particular case, earning no money. Second reason I'm going to argue is a marketing reason. I think that what we want to do is be one of the first out of the chutes to tell people as the economic environment improves that we are actually lowering taxes and becoming a more favorable district from that standpoint. I think it may increase the potential of houses sold or people actually looking at the district. I don't think it changes the quality of the education at all. Number three, I actually think there's a lot of economic studies that show that there is an inverse relationship between tax rates and tax revenues. And I simply suggest that maybe by reducing our millage, we actually get more taxes, again, from some of these growth dynamics. And then finally, leveraging off a little of what Mr. Staub just said, I think the budgeting has showed that we've had positive variances on our revenues and expenditures, so that the budget deficit that we are projecting in the general fund this year is probably going to show to be much closer to a balance or actually a surplus. So I would recommend a tax reduction, but in lieu of this particular proposal, I'm going to be voting against it.
Mr. Duzan, you had another comment?
Yeah, I just had a comment. It concerns what Mr. Staub said, and it's really been a pet peeve of mine for probably the last 15 years. It's not possible to compare school districts by their millage rates. It is not in any way an indication that the school district with the lower millage rate is more effective and better managed. That's not how it works. It has to do with what the value of a mill is. And that value of millage is part of why Pennsylvania is in such bad shape as far as any kind of equitable school funding. I'll give you an idea. Our millage is roughly one mill is worth about $1.2 million. Antietam is worth about $300,000. And then if we travel a little further up to the Lehigh Valley, you have Parkland setting where the value of a mill is $7.5 million. Now the disparity is huge. So for me to really worry about where Mifflin is, or where Wyomissing is, or where Reading is, I think that has been a myth that's been perpetuated by the media, that we run a list in the paper and here's where you rank. And the hard reality of it is, without having any understanding of what each one of those districts' tax base looks like, you can't make that comparison in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I'm going to disagree with that, Russ, because since you mentioned me, we are comparing two exact size districts, number of students, and the millage is totally different. So their commercial base is significantly higher. That's why I'm saying we need to take it off the taxpayer, the back of the homeowner. That's all I'm saying. I think it's ridiculous the way it's set up in this state. I am not disagreeing with many of the things you're saying. I never once said it had anything to do with education. I'm just talking about sheer numbers. When you have 4,100 students and you have $68 million budgets, and it's the same per child, and we're 31 and they're 24, and we're 5 miles from each other, that tells you we have a problem in the state. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I thought you were saying, basically, I thought you were implying that they were doing a better job than we were.
No, that's why I wanted to correct, because I in no way said that.
The issue at hand is any further discussion on the millage, lack of increase.
I'd like to make a comment.
Would you use your mic?
Use your microphone. Use it, man.
Did I get on? All right, is this okay?
We can hear you.
All right, we can hear you. I do not agree with the zero tax position for this budget. To me, property tax is a single predictable source of income for our budget. It is the only source we can impact, albeit within stringent limitations set by the state Department of Education. Opting not to act on this resource is comparable to me as a business owner refusing to make a profit despite knowledge of increasing expenses in the near future. I realize that I've taken this position in the past, and I don't think anybody would agree with me in point or not. This year, I will accept Mrs. Guybish's position that the district will continue to function despite my concerns with this budget. Therefore, I will vote in favor of the agenda item out of respect for the extraordinary effort our administrative staff has made to bring this document to the table, and I thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Secretary, could you have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Beecher?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Mr. Gepino?
Yes.
Mr. Printer?
Yes.
Dr. Bender?
Yes.
Mrs. Kutcher?
Yes.
Mr. Deesner?
No.
Mr. Grady?
Yes.
Dr. Tamara?
No.
2, 7.
Motion carries.
Under 7N, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors adopts the 2015-2016 Homestead and Farmstead Exclusion Resolution authorizing real estate tax assessment reductions for the school year beginning July 1st, 2015, per the attached resolution.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the homestead exemption, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7O, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the renewal of a contract with ParentLink for a period of 1 year to provide messaging applications to the district at a cost of $1.95 per unit, plus an annual subscription fee of $1,000 for a total of $9,190 for fiscal year 2015-16. This is the same cost as the current year.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the ParentLink contract, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7P, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the Johnson Control Annual Service Agreement for the period 7/1/2015 through 6/30/2016 in the amount of $48,120. The contract amount is 3% higher than the current year premium.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of approving the Johnson contract, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7Q, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves annual maintenance contracts commencing July 1st, 2015 with Train Building Services for HVAC system components located at Exeter Senior High School, Junior High School, Jackson Wald Elementary, and Lorraine Elementary for a total of $13,201.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the train contract, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7R, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approve the Lorraine Elementary paving project bid to EJB Paving, the sole bidder, and accept the base bid in the amount of $122,065 and alternate 2 in the amount of $44,811 for a total project cost of $166,876. The spreadsheet is attached.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion.
I have a question for Mr. Pitts. Yes, sir. In reviewing price history from previous projects across the state, do you feel that this is a fair value we're getting since we only had a single bidder?
Yeah, I believe so. We budgeted 150. We broke things up into alternates to get the various bits and pieces in there. Came in a little bit higher than we expected, but oil prices are going up, labor's going up. So I think it's comparable to the Jackson Wald and junior high projects value. So,
Further discussion.
I have a question about the alternate 2. of which we're not approving. Right?
Alternate one.
Alternate one.
We broke it into the Fappy lots, the bus loop, and the area along Rittenhouse Drive. That was the base bid. Alternate one is that back section where the basketball courts are, does not get a lot of traffic, does not have a lot of deterioration either. Alternate two is the area directly behind the school and on the north side. The alternate and alternate two and the base bid are the two areas that have the most deterioration, which is why the numbering sequence was just the way the engineer broke up the bits and pieces. So we're not skipping over the most important one. Alternate one is probably the area that has the least deterioration.
So you expect alternate one area to not need any repair for a couple of years at least?
We will need to seal some cracks. If Christie wants us to repaint the lines, we can do that out of the maintenance budget. But it doesn't get any vehicular traffic, it's all foot traffic except when we plow it. So it'll continue to hold up for the near future.
Okay, thanks.
Jim, can I ask you a question, just because you deal with this in your jobs profession? Is it often that you don't get sole bidders on projects like this, or?
Depends on how busy they are, how hungry they are. Right now, there's a lot of work going on this thing. Plus, summertime is paving time, so these guys may have already had the projects lined up, and then this one came along, so. And I mean, EJB is a very reputable firm, and they do a lot of work throughout the state, so it's not a bad firm to work with.
My wife is a borough manager. They just went through a bidding process on a large road project. Same thing one day. So apparently the folks things are good.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the Lorraine paving, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now we'll have to find another place to drive the governor through when it comes.
It's a little too nice now, right?
Yep.
Under 7S, it is recommended that the proper board officials be authorized to enter into an agreement with the school, with the Pennsylvania School Board Association for services related to conducting a search for a superintendent.
Motion and second, discussion. All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, under 7T, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors joins a consortium of schools in Berks County to apply for preschool counts grant funding for 2 classrooms in Exeter. Participation in the program is contingent upon funding. BCIU will be the lead agency for administration of this grant.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion. All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Tamura. Dr. Bender, personnel.
Well, I guess I reluctantly have to make this motion. I move that the Board of School Directors approve the following retirement of Dr. Beverly A. Martin, Superintendent, with an effective date on or about January 16, 2016.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So now what then?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Save it for Jen.
Well, I would just like to thank you for everything you've done for the district. I'm sure that board members here could speak much longer and much more deeply about your commitment to the district and your leadership. I just know a very little anecdote that when you did talk to the teachers, that you got a prolonged ovation from them, and I think that says a lot. Because they can be very contentious relationships at times. But I know that's one thing that you did right from day one, was to connect with the instructors who really make this whole engine run. And I think that, I'm sure you'll have more to say on this over the ensuing months, but I appreciate all that you've done for the district. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I appreciate working with with such a supportive board as well, an education-focused board. This has always been that. So. And I've got 6 more months at least, so that's all for now.
I'm going to add, I've told this board many times before that I've gotten to know just about all the superintendents in the county, and I can think of none who I have a higher regard for, who have demonstrated such expertise and vision in the conduct of their duties. I'm a great proponent of the hand in the bucket of water, and that thing, once you remove the hand, everything goes back to normal anyway. Well, Bev is not a hand in the water. She will be missed. So, all in favor of accepting Dr. Martin's resignation, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Dr. Martin.
Thank you.
And congratulations to Ken and the babies.
Oh, thank you.
Think about it, we could have not let this out.
Yeah, I know. How does that work?
Yeah, exactly.
Involuntary servitude. Dr. Benner.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the retirement of a support staff person, Christopher R. Lee. This is amended from a previous board meeting.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of accepting the retirement, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve or ratify the following resignations listed under Part 8B, number 1 through 4.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the following appointments listed under Part 8, letter C, of our certificated staff, substitute teachers, support staff, and extracurricular staff.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve or ratify the following leaves of absence listed under number 8, Part D, certificated staff and support staff.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the change of status for the following certificated staff, number 1 and 2, and support staff, number 1.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
I'd just like to once again acknowledge Susie Blankenbiller for all the work that she did here, and also Therese Nab, because I already got a flyer in the mail, maybe Don had something to do with that, for the
Save the day.
health fair, the Save the
Day.
Day, which is way ahead of usual. So I'd imagine a lot of planning's going on right now. It'll be done, but I think they've done an awesome job of doing that health fair, and I'm glad to see it continue.
All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the following teachers for Teachers in the Parks, pending sufficient enrollment at a rate of $30 per hour effective June 30th through August 8th. Those teachers number 1 through 10 in Part F.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion? All in favor of the summer school funding, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the staffing needs for special education extended school year program 2015 as listed. Sarah Blackpicky.
Can you say that again?
Wow.
Second, to save Dr. Bender.
Wow.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Actually.
Is
All
there only one? I'm sorry, is there only one?
No, this is for sub.
Oh, okay, okay. I was gonna say, I'm sorry, I was looking at
No,
that.
no, no, oh, no, there's a long
I think
list.
we approved them.
We've already approved them,
Thank-
yeah,
thank
it's a
you.
very long
Okay.
list, and we're gonna need more subs too, I lose one, so I'm sure there'll be others.
Any further discussion? All in favor of extension, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the extended contracts for the 2015-2016 school year. Create attached list of employees, that's Part H, and we have an attachment listing the extended contracts for the secretaries.
Do I have a second? I have a second. Any discussion on the extended contract? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the staff conferences as listed in Part I, number 1 through 15.
Motion is second. Discussion. All in approval of the staff conferences listed, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That completes personnel.
Thanks, Dr. Bender. Mrs. Kutcher, student functions.
I'm happy now, we still had a great graduation. I'm reporting it. Item B, I move that the board of... Pardon?
It's not for us,
Yeah,
it's so
we
people
can't
watching
hear
the
you.
video can
Sorry, Joe.
I'm meditating. Procrastinating. I move that the Board of Directors approves an agreement between Pediatric Therapeutic Services and the Exeter Township School District for the 2015-16 school year to provide school-based therapy services to the district at a cost of $68 per hour.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the contract with Pediatric Therapeutics, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item C, I move that the Board of Directors approves tuition agreements between Hope and Learning Academy LLC and the Exeter Township School District to provide extended school year services for students number 221165, 190325, 141366 for the period June 23rd, 2015 through August 5th, 2015, at a cost of $365 per day per student.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. All in favor of the Hogan contract, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item D, I move that the Board of Directors approves a tuition agreement between Valley Forge Educational Services and the Exeter Township School District to provide extended school year services for students 210017, 170322, 170358, 170068, for the period July 6th, 2015 through August 7th, 2015, at the cost of $7,545 per student.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. Are these students that are involved in an outplacement now?
Yes,
so-
and this is just a
Yeah,
continuation.
yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the Valley Forge extension, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item E, I move that the Board of Directors approves a tuition agreement between the Devereaux Foundation and the Exeter Township School District to provide extended school year services for student 230413 for the period July 1, 2015 through August 14, 2015, at the cost of $49 per day.
Second.
Motion second. Discussion. All in favor of the Devereaux extension, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item F, I move that the Board of Directors approve an agreement between the Exeter Township School District and the Richard J. Karen Foundation to provide student assistance program services for 44 hours per week. Senior high school is 26 hours, junior high school is 14 hours, right, is 4 hours.
for the period August 1, 2015 through June 30th, 2016, at a cost of $48,855.
Second.
A motion and a second, discussion.
I probably should have asked this last week, but are they on site? Are they,
There are 2 people that are on site, 3?
It's a different person at Rifle.
Oh, I thought it was the same person. A little bit of, I don't know how many hours at Rifton do you do, or just 4 hours per week? Is that correct? The high school gets 20-some hours per week. 26, okay, and the junior high gets 14.
so, I mean, I have a perception of the Karen Foundation is dealing mostly with substance abuse. So is that what they're dealing with here? or-
They do deal with substance abuse, but more and more often they're dealing with mental health issues as well, and maybe in a greater number than the substance abuse issues, but they certainly do deal with substance abuse issues, and I think that was their primary mission. But also a lot with mental health issues. Also crisis issues when we had, for example, when we had the death of a student and so forth. They were very, very helpful in that process, helping the students get through it, staff as well. So, really, really good organization to work with, really good people. I don't know all 3 of them. In fact, I knew 2 out of the 3, and then I believe 1 left, and I don't think I know the replacement for the one that left, the one that used to be at the junior high. A couple of years back, I believe she left.
Terry Taylor now.
Yeah, I don't know her.
Any further discussion on the Karen contract?
Actually, I had raised the possibility last week that you could have them come and speak with us next year, early in the year.
Yeah,
Just
Donna.
for an overview
Yeah.
of what they're
Yeah, it would be very informative for any board member that didn't get a chance to hear from them the last time they were here, which was several years ago, at least 5, 6, or maybe even more. And Don and I talked about that at the very end of the year, a couple of weeks back, maybe maybe it was just last week. And we decided that we'll just wait till everybody gets in the fall, and then we'll schedule something. I'm sure they'll be glad to speak with the board again.
Any further concerns? Hearing none, all in favor of the Karen contract, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Item G, I move that the Board of Directors approves and accepts the agreement on admission of disciplinary violation, waiver of formal and due process hearing, and superintendent disposition is set forth in the adjudication for student 2502-06.
Second.
A motion and a second, discussion. All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Bob, I'll abstain on that.
So it's 8 in favor, 1 abstention. Thank you, Mrs. Kutcher.
I would like to just raise or ask a question and raise an issue for a moment. Is it the Hogan Learning is for autistic students?
I believe so, yes.
And last week, I think it was, New York Times had a fascinating article in their journal about autistic students. And I don't know, I know that BCIU does a lot of work for preschool kids, but they were talking about identifying babies before the age of 3 months for symptoms of autism. And in the children that they had been evaluated, that their progress was so much superior to kids who were identified even just a year later, that it's opened up a whole new field for autistic kids. And given the fact that we have this increasing issue of autistic kids, it would be nice to see or to know just how dramatic or dynamic the PCIU program is. Apparently, if you start when you're 3 years old, you're really on a downhill slope in terms of helping the students. So that's it.
The problem with the IU program is that it's funded by the state.
Right.
No funding, no program.
I understand. But it's just, it wasn't matters.
Well, they're actually getting more than they anticipated for all the preschool and early childhood programs, but
Because they weren't in the last couple
but
of
it
years.
doesn't extend, you know, it doesn't extend down to the level that you're thinking of.
Maybe it should.
Maybe it should. Curriculum programs, Mr. Dusick.
No report.
Curriculum committee, Mr. Dusick.
I move that the Board of School Directors approve the purchase of the following textbooks for the 2015-2016 school year: Foundations of Economics, Advanced Placement, copyright 2015, the publisher is Pearson.
Second.
A motion and second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of purchase of textbooks, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Technology.
Just a quick update, I have minutes out for approval with the administration on our last technology committee meeting. We are going to move forward in 15-16 with the rest of the high school, getting the Chromebooks. In your board packets, I believe last week, you should have had, you did have the letter explaining the process of how the Chromebooks were going to be distributed later in the summer, and offering some educational classes for both parents and students. I won't bore you with all the details of the technology committee meeting. I think you'll just be on the lookout for those minutes.
Did you hear from Mr. Wade?
I didn't hear from anybody.
Oh, you didn't?
But
Okay.
I just figured
I
I did a
had-
crappy job, but
I had a response type to send to you, and then I didn't send it because I thought, oh, I'll wait and let Joe
yeah.
weigh in first. It's probably still in my draft folder.
Thank you, sir. UCIU. On June the 23rd at 7 p.m., there will be a public school funding community meeting at the IU. The panel will consist of Dr. Martin, Dr. Muman from Reading, Dr. Cleese from Twin Valley, and several, the President, David Patty, President and CEO of the Pennsylvania Business Council, Otto Voigt, and Diana Richards. It will, if nothing else, it will give you an opportunity to see how brilliant Dr. Martin really is. So,
I got all my slides from Ann.
Does anyone at the IU ever executive tax? I'm at a school board symposium in Mechanicsburg on the 23rd and 24th. There's a political activity day in Harrisburg on the 23rd about fair funding, and that's all.
They probably had to work it around the schedules of several people. And, I think Tom Seidenberger may have had a role in helping to select the date as well, in terms of his availabilities.
for those who can't go to Harrisburg, I highly recommend this. And,
I saw that they delayed for a week. I don't know if a week is going to help any. The fair funding campaign committee at the state level was supposed to render their recommendation as far as what formula and so forth, and they delayed it for a week. Did you see that?
Yeah, actually.
They needed a little more time to talk about it. So we'll see if that comes to fruition next week.
and that is being held at the IU office building out on the old bridge.
And this meeting is in what time?
It is at 7 to 8:30 p.m. on 23 June.
Yeah, but if we finish early enough, kind of early enough.
Okay.
That's all I have. Oh, I can excuse myself. Public relations, Mr. Kramer.
Two things. Just publicly, we'd like to thank the Reading Hospital for donating 2 additional AEDs. Their committee was here in the winter and went through the Reichten School and the junior high school. And they were targeting that level of school. And so what month ago, we received 2 new AEDs, so there will now be 2 in each of those buildings. Some other buildings have multiple ones, but, so we appreciate that. And the second thing is, this summer, today was the first day, the Exeter Police Department is doing additional training in helping to keep our students safe in the event of an active shooter event. Our staff members, some of them have volunteered to be victims, but we still could use some more, so if anyone would like to be victimized, I can give you the dates. But it's just another example of how the police department is working very closely with us to keep our students and staff safe.
Thank you, sir.
Are you a victim, Doug?
I am, one day.
BCTC, Mr. Deesiger.
Yeah, I think all of you are aware from our conversations earlier is that the executive director of the Career Center retired. We replaced him, and the person was an internal candidate. And now we've had this, you know, everything shuffling, and we just lost the principal at West to a CTC up in the Lehigh Valley. So we have replaced the principal in Oley, and now we'll replace the principal at the Leesport campus, and we have the final interviews tomorrow night. So, you know, they're moving along and they're keeping up with it, but there's going to be a whole lot of different players in place when school starts in September.
Facilities, Mr. Brady.
There was no report this evening.
Thank you, sir. Audit Committee, Ms. O'Brien, please. Payment requests, Ms. Peasley.
I move that we pay the bills for this month. We have total voided checks of $76.54. We have total list of payments from the general fund of $2,681,816.91. From the capital projects fund, $2,310. And from the Watton Creek Elementary School, $1,225.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor of paying the bills, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. President,
Yes,
to
sir.
prove that I'm not a lame duck board member, I would like to give the athletic committee report that you skipped over. I know LeGaff did his thing, but I just.
That's what happened when you're on your way out.
I am humiliated, Mr. Staub.
That's
Please,
okay. I wanted
proceed here with your.
I wanted to talk scenes.
What it is, I left my mouse at home, and I'm having to bounce this thing around.
Mr. LeGaff would have been disappointed.
Okay.
Actually,
He
not
went favors with that report, Chris.
We will be meeting hopefully next month. We're going to be discussing the advertising program as far as revisions to pricing. Market Street Sports, it will not work out, especially now with the new billboard. They're concerned with, we already have some naming rights, them being able to come in and effectively do the program. So we had kind of held off on the advertising for this year, but we're going to be ramping back up with that. So we will be looking to have a meeting sometime next month. And then when the football schedule comes out, if you could let us know, we'd like to set something up as far as appreciation for the sign, the new school board. That's it, sir.
Thank you, sir. Note to self, no more stop after November. Okay. Dr. Martin.
You say no more Martin after January.
No more Martin after January, that's right. Note to self.
Okay, I don't know how to follow that, but Mr. Quitter already talked to you a little bit about the public school funding community meeting on June 23rd, so I won't go into that. But we've had a wonderful end to the 2014-15 school year. I think graduation was a very great event. I think it went really, really well. This This was a class that I know that the principals looked upon with a lot of, felt that they were a really great class and had a lot of respect for that class, a lot of fondness for that class, and missed them a lot. I know I had written an article about them and some of their successes and their attitudes and so forth that were really noteworthy. But it was just a really nice event, and yeah, quite possibly my last graduation here, and it was very meaningful for me as well. So, as well as attending a lot of the end of the year events like concerts and art shows and different types of events at all of the schools. It's really a great part of the year to sort of celebrate a year well done, and now we start preparing for next school year, and Dr. Davies and I and Mrs. Guidish and Dr. Weber and some of the people here present have gotten together to do a so-called retreat. We call it retreat. We really don't go anywhere, but we sort of retreat from the hustle and bustle of the school year and talk about planning for next year. And that's always part of the year I really enjoy. It's the coming of summer, but it's also a chance to sort of talk about how did we do this year, and what will we do and how will we do it next year, and start planning for those things that we're looking forward to next year. So at this point in my career, I'm just looking forward to next year and continuing some of the work that we have been doing and doing it even better next year than the year before. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any other issues to come before the board? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.